7:41, time for the newspapers this morning. The Mail has hundreds more schools at risk, pupils' education being thrown into chaos by the concrete crisis.
When will this school crisis end? Ask parents on the front of the Times.
Concrete ticking time bomb hits hospitals. That's according to the Express.
And in the Telegraph, the Home Secretary accuses woke police officers of damaging public trust.
And in the Star, temperatures may hit 30 degrees, it says, in a September heatwave next week.
And let's hope it's a nice sunny one as well. Joining us to look through the papers, assistant editor at The Spectator, Cindy Yu, and political editor of HuffPost UK, Kevin Schofield. And Cindy, I didn't realise this, but in the Times, it says that Keir Starmer is going to do a reshuffle.
Yep.
Who's in and who's out, do we think?
Well, so we don't know precisely just yet, but the Times is reporting that Angela Rayner will have one of her many job titles taken away from her, if not more than one. But we all remember what happened last time when Keir Starmer tried to demote Angela Rayner. She came out with more job titles than she went in with. So I've got it down here because I literally can't remember it off the top of my head. She is Shadow First Secretary of State, Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster and Shadow Secretary of State for the Future of Work. So in that reshuffle...
of work?
For the future of work. Of
None
course,
of that
Anne.
makes a lot of sense, does it? But he can't stop her being deputy leader, can he?
No, that's an elected role by the party. That will be tightened up, and the Times is saying that it might be transport for something for her, but, you know, again, right. Will she accept that? Other people are saying that maybe she'll be moved into levelling up to shadow Michael Gove, replacing Lisa Nandy. So where does Lisa Nandy end up with? But I think it won't be a massive reshuffle because many of the major names like Rachel Reeves, the public is only just getting to know these major players. It wouldn't be a good idea to reshuffle them out just yet.
So why reshuffle at all at the moment?
I think it's just, it's been a while and you need to freshen things up and it's the last chance to do it before the next election.
Yeah.
And it's always a question of timing because you do it now and it's like a month before party conference. So it doesn't really give the new people much chance to work up at their briefs and make big speeches. But then you do it after. And then you've got all these people making speeches at conference and then they're going to get sacked.
Yeah. That would be embarrassing,
it's a difficult one.
Yeah. And we are expecting a proper reshuffle from Rishi Sunak, aren't we?
At the end of towards the end of the year, we believe, yeah. So that's been postponed. That was meant to be round about now as well. But he decided, for whatever reason, not to, which hasn't really gone down terribly well with a lot of Tory MPs. They think it's a sign of weakness. Obviously, they had to carry out a mini reshuffle, very mini, when Ben Wallace stood down in the week there and Grant Shapps, new Defence Secretary. But the big one is still to come towards the end of the year. But leaders hate reshuffles, really, because they often cause more trouble than they're worth.
Yeah.
You know, people don't like being moved around.
Especially when they don't accept being moved around.
No, they don't like it.
No.
Exactly, yeah.
Kevin, let's have a look at the Times. Looking at the Durrell Zoo. But there's all these concerns that we only like cute animals now.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever been to Jersey Zoo, but the whole concept of it is that it was set up to protect endangered species and help breed them in captivity so that they weren't lost forever.
It's named after Gerald. Is it Gerald or
Gerald Durrell?
Gerald Durrell.
Yeah.
That's
So
right,
he set it up in 1959. Yeah, and you know, it's been praised around the world for that specific agenda that it's got. However, there's been a change in its strategy and they're now starting to bring in more box office animals that people actually want to turn up to see. So a lot of these endangered animals, they're not maybe great to look at, they're not particularly sexy, so they're not getting bums on seats. So,
and that's important for a zoo to be able to go on?
Well, that's it. So it's trying to strike that balance. Now, behind the scenes, there's a big crisis because the head of mammals, Dominic Wormel, he resigned after 34 years just last week with a pretty stinging attack on this new strategy, saying that the problem with chasing a cheap buck is that you end up with animals which are basically, popular in Walt Disney films rather than helping to protect
so he sort of called
species.
It the Disneyfication.
The Disneyfication of the zoo. So it's so it's caused a lot of controversy. And it's a difficult one, though, isn't it? Because
you've got to get bums on seats.
You get people in to pay for the animals that are endangered. So it's all very well, I think, having high principles, which is to be admired. But the bottom line is you have to make some money.
To bring the public in.
Or else, because what you don't want is the zoo to have to close, and then it's not helping anybody. So yeah, quite an interesting one, though.
It is, isn't it?
Dear me. Well, I think you've got to appeal to everyone to get them in.
Now, Cindy, in the Telegraph, Grant Shapps, who's got now a very serious job indeed, but he's very keen on his social media.
Yeah, speaking of appealing to everyone, Grant Shapps has 15,000 followers on TikTok, which he's painstakingly built up. Now, back earlier this year, the government put out new restrictions saying that government ministers can't have them on their government devices. So Grant Shapps doesn't have that. Grant Shapps is now saying that he doesn't have it on his personal devices either, despite his personal account being on there, because his constituency staff who run his account for him. Now that he's Secretary of State for Defence, lots of China-concerned backbench MPs are criticising him for still using what is essentially a Chinese-owned app, even in its international format, saying that this is going to be a security concern. Personally, I think it's OK if he doesn't use it on his government phone and if he's not doing it on his personal phone. The worry with TikTok is that it's tracking your location in particular ways. So, for example, if you are coming in and out of sensitive locations, especially military sites, you don't want that data to be anywhere. I mean, that's totally understandable. But if he doesn't have those on the phones that are on his person, then there is no concern with going onto the app itself and kind of reverse hacking him, as it were, especially if it's not on his phones. And particularly funny is that the Grant Shapps team themselves have said the Ministry of Defence has its own TikTok account, actually.
What?
Yes. So if it's a problem, then the Ministry of Defence should also delete its own TikTok account. So I think, again, this is one of those things, I think, going back to what Kevin was saying, this appointment has ruffled some feathers. It is not the kind of appointment that a lot of foreign policy, I don't want to say hardliners, but people who are very, very foreign policy, defence concerned, wanted. You know, he's not quite Ben Wallace. So I think there are ways in which to criticise Grant Shapps because it's ruffled some feathers.
Yeah. Oh, well, do you know what? I don't know why he just doesn't get rid of it all and save the hassle.
It's a serious politician doing on TikTok.
He absolutely loves it. He loves it. He's very much...
As I understand, it is quite addictive. I don't use it, but as I understand, people who go on it are very...
Yeah, I don't use it either.
Yeah.
Kevin, let's talk about robot cats, should we, in The Guardian this morning? Because sounds good to me.
In care homes, yes. So they, and dogs, not cats only, robot dogs as well, are being used increasingly in care homes with dementia patients. And it's apparently producing incredible results. It reduces anxiety, depression, helps them to become more engaged. And it's just become a very positive influence in these care
Why
homes.
robot cats and dogs? Why not real ones? Because I thought they did bring animals into care homes.
They do, that's
And
right.
stroking an animal, we all know that actually takes the anxiety away very quickly.
Like stress animals, aren't they?
But these look like they look like sort of soft toys.
Yeah. So they were originally.
Do they actually purr?
Yeah, they purr when you sort of stroke it. The dogs bark. Apparently, the dogs are less popular than the cats.
Well,
probably for that reason.
Sound like if it's barking at you. You want to calm down.
They were originally designed to entertain American children, but are now part of a fast-growing British market. I guess cost would come into it because obviously cats need to be fed, cleaned up after, and a bit more of a hassle. Whereas these ones
just plug it in.
Plug it in and off you go.
Well, weird idea. We need to leave it there, sadly, but we will see you a little bit later on. Cindy, Kevin, thank you.